Chapter 19. He was awakened one night by a strange noise. At first, he thought it might have been some kind of animal, and it frightened him. But as the sleep cleared from his head, he realized that the noise was coming from the cot next to him. Squid was crying. You okay? Stanley whispered. Squid's head jerked around. He sniffed and caught his breath. Yeah, I'm fine, he whispered and sniffed again. In the morning, Stanley asked Squid if he was feeling better. What are you? What are you, my mother? What are you, my mother? Asked Squid. Stanley the raised and lowered one shoulder. I got allergies, okay? Squid said. Okay, said Stanley. You open your mouth again, I'll break your jaw. Stanley kept his mouth shut most of the time. He didn't talk too much to any of the boys, afraid that he might say wrong thing. They called him caveman and all that, but he couldn't forget that they were dangerous too. They were all here for a reason, and Mr. Sir would say this wasn't a Girl Scout camp. Stanley was thankful that there were no racial problems. X-Ray, Armpit, and Zero were black, and Squid and Zigzag were white. Magnet hat was Hispanic. On the lake, they were all the same reddish brown color, the shirt of dirt. He looked up from his hole to see the water truck and its trailing dust cloud. His canteen was still almost a quarter full. He quickly drank it down, then took his place in line behind Magnet and in front of Zero. The air was thick with heat, dust, and exhaustic flames. Fumes. Mr. Sir filled their canteens. The truck pulled away. Stanley was back in his hole, shovel in hand, when he heard Magnet call out, Anybody want some sunflower seeds? Magnet was standing out at ground level holding a sack of seeds. He popped a handful into his mouth, chewed and swallowed. Shells and all. Over here, called X-Ray. The sack looked to be about half full. Magnet rolled up the top, then tossed it to X-Ray. How'd you get them without Mr. Sir seeing you? Asked Armpit. I can't help it, Magnet said. He held both hands up, wiggled his fingers, and laughed. My fingers are like magnets. The sack went from X-ray to armpit, armpit to squid, X-ray to armpit to squid. It's sure good to eat something that doesn't come from a can, said Armpit. Squid tossed it to Zigzag. Stanley knew it would come to him next. He didn't even want it. From a moment, Magnet shouted, Anybody want some sunflower seeds? He knew there would be trouble. Sir was sure to come back. And anyway, the shells would only make him thirsty. Coming your way, caveman, said Zigzag. Airmail and specifical delivery. It's clear whether the seeds pile before they got to Stanley or after he dropped the bag. It seemed to him that Zigzag hadn't rolled it up on the top before throwing it, and that was the reason he didn't catch it. But it all happened very fast. One moment the stack was flying through the air, and the next thing Stanley knew, the sack was in his hole and the seeds were spilled across the dirt. Oh man, said Magnet. Sorry, Stanley said as he tried to slip the seeds back into the sack. I don't want to eat dirt, said X-Ray. Stanley didn't know what to do. The truck's coming, shouted Zigzag. Stanley looked up at the approaching dirt dust cloud, then back down at the spilled seeds. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. What else is new? He dug his shovel into his hole and tried to turn over the dust and bury the seeds. What he could have done, he realized later, was knock one of his dirt piles back into his hole, but the idea of putting the dirt into the hole was unthinkable. Hello, Mr. Sir, said X-Ray. Back so soon? I seems like you were just here, said Armpit. Time flies when you're having fun, said Magnet. Stanley continued to turn the dirt over in his hole. You Girl Scouts having a good time? Asked Mr. Sir. He moved from one hole to another. He kicked the dirt pile by Magnet's hole. Then he moved towards Stanley. Stanley could see two seeds at the bottom of the hole. As he tried to cover them, he under unearthed a corner of the stack. Well, what do you know, caveman? Said Mr. Sir, standing over him. It looks like you found something. Stanley didn't know what to do. Dig it out, Mr. Sir said. Well, take it to the warden. Maybe she'll give you you the rest of the day off. It's not anything, Stanley muttered. Let me be the judge of that, said Mr. Sir. Stanley reached down and pulled up the empty barrel sack. He tried to hand it to Mr. Sir, but he wouldn't take it. So tell me, caveman, said Mr. Sir, how did my sack of sunflower seeds get into your hole? I stole it from your tuck. You did? Yes, Mr. Sir. What happened to all the sunflower seeds? I ate them. By yourself? Yes, Mr. Sir. Hey, caveman, shouted Armpit. How come you didn't share any with us? That's cold, man, said X-Ray. I thought you were our friend, said Magnet. Mr. Sir looked around from one boy to another, then back to Stanley. Well, see what the warden has to say about this. Let's go. Stanley climbed up out of his hole and followed Mr. Sir to the truck. He still held the empty stack. He felt good. It sits inside the truck, out of the dirt, of the direct rays of the sun. Stanley was surprised he could feel good about anything at the moment, but he did. It felt so good to sit down on a comfortable seat for a change, and as the truck bounced along the dirt, he was able to appreciate the air blowing through the open window onto his hot and sweaty face.